I'm going to introduce the book called Sapiens, A Brief History of Humankind. It's a book by Yuval Noah Harari, and it was first published in Hebrew in Israel in 2011. Based on a series of lectures Harari taught at the Hebrew University of Jerusalem and in English in 2014. And now we will now proceed to the content of the book. The book has a 4-part, and for the part 1, the cognitive revolution, for the part 2, the agricultural revolution, and for the part 3, the unification of humankind, and for the part 4, the scientific revolution. So for the part 1, it has a 4th chapter. For the chapter 1, an animal of no significance. For the chapter 2, the tree of knowledge. For the chapter 3, a day in the life of Adam and Eve. And for the chapter 4, the flood. For part 2, the agricultural revolution. Chapter 5, history's biggest fraud. Chapter 6, building pyramids. Chapter 7, memory overload. Chapter 8, there is no justice in history. For part 3, the unification of humankind. Chapter 9, the arrow of history. Chapter 10, the scent of money. Chapter 11, imperial visions. Chapter 12, the law of religion. Chapter 13, the secret of success. For the part 4, the scientific revolution. Chapter 14, the discovery of ignorance. Chapter 15, the marriage of science and empire. Chapter 16, the capitalist creed. Chapter 17, the wheels of industry. The chapter 18, a permanent revolution. Chapter 19, and they live happily ever after. And chapter 20, the end of Homo sapiens. And there's the afterword, the animal that became a god, notes, acknowledgement, and image credits.
When it comes to the outlining section in part 1, which is called the Cognitive Revolution, and contains 4 chapters in total, it is discussed that Homo sapiens is just one many different species of humans that have existed in the past. That all humans have extraordinarily large brain in comparison to other animals. And that in the past, significant knowledge was combined or formed in the different ways. And now let's move on to the part 2, the agricultural revolution, which also has 4 chapters and discusses the essence of agricultural revolution. The capacity to keep more people alive in conditions worse than those of domesticated animals, the absence of justice, and your position as a path through the eye of small needle in order to obtain what is right for you. Follow up the part 3, the unification of humankind, which has 5 chapters and discusses the gradual unification of human political institutions into a single global empire. It also discusses the contradictions that result from intersubjective belief in myths and that can never fully resolve, as well as the discussion of monetary system and religion in the comparison to other religions. Last but not the least is the scientific revolution, which is covered in 7 chapters and discussed by first accepting man's ignorance of the world. However, the scientific revolution practically turned this on its head by assuming we were ignorant of the most important things and that all knowledge was tentative. The main contention is also that social interaction, rather than the development of tools or other activities that set early Homo sapiens apart, was what stimulated the expansion of the human brain. Furthermore, how the history of ancient times came to the conclusion of the history of human sapiens.
In all chapters that we read, here are the 5 chapters that we chose, and the 5 highlighting parts was, first in chapter 1, which is about the animals of no significance, because even though they are not the fastest, strongest, or even the tallest creature in the world, they can possess any special physical attributes that put them apart. Also, how Harari tackled the cognitive revolutions that lead to the development of the abilities. Because having these unique cognitive characteristics allows the humans to conspire and thrive as species, as years goes by, leading to their dominance over all plants. Second is humans stopped living as hunters and gatherers 10,000 years ago, when they started spending most of their time and energy taking care of certain animals and planets. These planets like wheat, rice, and potatoes actually change humans more than humans change them. But instead of making life easier, this change made life harder for farmers compared to hunters and gatherers. Even though ancient farmers may have seemed poor compared to us, they actually had more things that whole group of hunters and gatherers. Our brains aren't very good of remembering numbers, and this was problem even a long time ago, like when the samurais invested writing around 5,000 years ago. Next is the chapter 3 of the scent of money that had the biggest impact on me or us, because money is the most universal and most efficient system of mutual trust ever devised. To us, it is the humbling that this statement is accurate given the way things are today, when everyone needs money to fulfill their necessities and satisfies their desire. Fourth is the chapter 16, the capitalist scribe says that money had been essential. It was written that money founded states and ruined them, opened new horizons and enslaved millions, moved and the wheels of industry, and drove hundreds of species into extinctions. It means that money is for economic growth. Capitalism can make the economy innovative and develop technology that will be able to make life easier. And fifth, or the last one, is chapter 19, left a huge impact for us. In this chapter, it is tackled that despite the modernity, this does not make a better happy life. It also mentioned there that empowerment and material condition over past 2 centuries may have been upset by the collapse of family and community. If that's so, the average of person may well be no happier today than in 18,000. This made us realize that the key to happiness are in the hands of the biochemical system.
This chapter is engaging as it explores events that happened many years ago. It is especially valuable for psychology students as it provides useful information. The author's purpose was not only for adults, but also for younger readers. By reading it carefully and trying to understand it, you will grasp the author's intended message. The evidence presented here shows that people in the past faced severe difficulties, such as not having enough food and lacking essential resources. It's also mentioned that ancient societies struggled with a limited ability to remember and work with numbers, which is unfortunate. This reveals a history of discrimination that still exists today. I think it's really cool how the way people do things, treats each other equally, and have things they need all make big impact on what happened in a country. Even though it can be hard sometimes, the things people do for their country show how important our ancestors were in making our lives better, even if we don't always realizing it. The scientific revolution was not about acquiring knowledge, but rather about recognizing our ignorance. It reveals that humans do not possess all the answer to their essential inquiries. As a result, people adopt a new outlook, realizing that they could gain understanding by observing the world around them. In part 4, it discussed the impact of modernity and convenience on humans. While these advancements are important to us, they do not fulfill us emotionally. Companies and industries promote consumption, which leads to the weakening of traditional ties. I agree with this point because we have become less tolerant of inconvenience compared to our ancestors.
On reading the book, we learn a lot of things. And the first thing we learn is that humans are the most dominant species on Earth. And the author, Yuval Noah Harari, also tackled all of the factors that help him to explore more and how fast they develop and change the perspective of humankind. One valuable lesson that we have come to realize is that it is crucial for us to express gratitude for what we possess in the present day. This is primarily due to the fact that we are unaware of the immense hardships endured by the ancestors during ancient times. Moreover, our happiness should be heightened as a result of the incredible advancement in technology that we have significantly simplified various tasks and activities. Another reason for our fortunate circumstances is that ability of vitamins that effectively enhance our cognitive function, aiding us in the better memory retention and overall brain performance. We should acknowledge our good fortune in witnessing a society where individuals who have faced discrimination have developed remarkable resilience and fortitude. This book also acknowledges the individuals who face discrimination. We learned that the scientific revolution was a revolution of ignorance, as humans discovered that they didn't know the answers to their most important questions. Furthermore, we learned that focusing modernization may lead to drifting away from society and ignoring the fate of the other animals.